Ladies and gentlemen, illegals flying in on private jets? Well, guess what? It happened. California is investigating after a private jet carrying migrants arrived in Sacramento. Who the hell chartered a private jet and flew in illegals? Oh man, this country is a mess. The people that live here are a mess. So there's an investigation underway after they said it was about 16 migrants flew into Sacramento, California by private jet with no prior arrangement or care in place. Governor Gavin Newsom and the Attorney General Rob Bonta said this Saturday. So, California officials on Saturday met with a group who had documentation purporting to be from the government of the state of Florida. The immigrants were taken from Texas to New Mexico and then flown by private chartered jet to California, where they were dumped on the doorstep of a local church without any advance warning, according to Gavin Newsom. I would like to know the name of an organization or person that, because you can't just randomly fly a private jet. You got to charter that jet and make all the necessary arrangements. You can't just randomly get on there and illegals on top of that. How they going to pay for it? That's right. If they can say that to us about reparations, how you going to do that? I can ask how you going to pay for this charter jet. So it's got to be some organization or some person here in the US behind this whole thing. So the state's attorney general is investigating the incident and they're evaluating potential criminal or civil action against those who transported or arranged for the transport of these immigrants to California. The circumstances around who paid for the group's travel and whether the migrants were misled with false promises will be investigated, according to the governor. CNN has reached out to officials from Texas and Florida for comment. Yeah, because they flew out of those states in order to get to California. Mm-mm-mm. So the migrants were promised jobs and free support, nonprofit says. Mm-mm-mm. Sacramento area congregation together, a nonprofit group. They're saying that 16 migrants from Venezuela and Colombia were dropped off by private jet at a Sacramento airport, taken by a bus to the front office of the Diocese of Sacramento in California, where they were left. Y'all, they are pouring a fortune, by the way, into these immigrants. You see, some of them got put up in these fancy hotels in New York, and they're doing more for them than they are doing for the homeless in New York. And this government is just pouring hand over fist money into these immigrants. But the moment that you say reparations, all of a sudden there's some issue and there may not be enough money for that. This is just unbelievable. So I bet the person that chartered this flight or organization, if you ask them about reparations, they would be dead against it. But look at what they're pouring money into. Somebody poured a pretty penny into flying these migrants on a private chartered jet. Okay. Mm, mm, mm. So, you know what, y'all? I would not doubt if this has happened before. This is probably the first time they caught it. I don't believe this is the only time this has occurred. I don't believe that. So, ACT says it is assisting the migrants who had been in El Paso, Texas. They were approached at a migrant center there by individuals representing a private jet contractor, stating they would assist them in getting to a migrant center, providing them with jobs and other free support. The migrants were men and women between the ages of 20 and 30 years old. And apparently, they're saying they didn't even know each other. All right. So, one of the migrants by the name of Flores, it said two individuals approached them outside of the migrant center in El Paso, Texas, and said they could assist them if they were willing to travel to a migrant center. They were told they wouldn't have to pay anything, Flores said. And when they arrive at the refuge, the individuals said the migrants would be able to receive employment assistance and jobs and clothing and shelter. You know how bad homelessness is in California? It's at epidemic levels in California. I bet you they never flew no homeless person around in these chartered private jets, nor offered shelter, jobs, and anything else to them. Wow. They were driven to New Mexico, where they stayed overnight at a hotel Thursday, and then they were flown by private jet to Sacramento on Friday morning. Upon arrival, now these are migrants with no money. So somebody paid for that hotel room too in New Mexico. All right, and then they were flown to Sacramento on Friday morning. Upon arrival at the airport, they were driven by bus to a church office. Once they were dropped off, the driver rang the doorbell of the building, telling the group they would be right back, but they never went back. So, one of the migrants told Flores they attempted to reach the driver through a contact number they were given, but the driver's cell phone was no longer working. Yeah, because he probably never gave him a real cell phone number. So, the church was saying they never expected something like this to happen, and it caught them off guard when all of these people showed up at the church. So they didn't even know where they were. These migrants didn't even know where they were. They were asking the people at the church what city were they in. They had to be told where they were flown to. So they didn't know what city they were in. They didn't know the state they were in. Adding that they only had their backpacks and the clothes on their backs. Many of them did not know Sacramento was in California. I believe they were told, we'll take you to this refuge where they'll be able to help you. I'm not sure if they even know how far they would be traveling. So, according to the people at church, they were given false promises. They were transported to a place they didn't know, and where really they were just abandoned. Once they were taken to the church, they were abandoned. you know, Despite the fact that someone said, "Oh, just call this number and I'll come and I'll be with you every step of the way," and they weren't. Adding that, they were shocked of the lack of humanity and the way they have been treated. Well, how bad were you treated? You were given a hotel room and you flew on private jet? The average person in the US don't even get to fly on a private jet. The majority don't. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's not, yeah, I told you it wasn't the first time because they're saying it's not the first time these incidents have happened. Last year, Ron DeSantis said two planes carrying migrants to Martha Vineyard. Okay, well, were they chartered private jets? You know? And we know about the migrants being bussed up to New York and Chicago because we've heard about that on the news. So that's really not news. So California and Sacramento, they said, will welcome these individuals with open arms, provide them with respect, compassion, and care they will need after such an experience. The state is working with the Sacramento mayor's office and local groups to make sure the migrants are treated with respect and dignity and get to their intended destinations as they pursue their immigration cases. So they're just generally saying, okay, they were dropped off at the door, but we'll take care of them. They're okay, you know? But y'all gonna have to tell me what you think about them being flown around on a chartered private jet. And I would think something like that would be easy to find out. And, they're acting as if, they don't know how this whole thing was arranged. But we'll see what their investigation finds. It would be interesting. But, it's amazing how this has happened and they're just being so helpful to these immigrants. And like I said, they have provided a lot and poured billions and billions of dollars in assisting these migrants. But all you got to say is the word reparations, and nobody can get money, and they need to know what you're going to do with the money. They need to know. They don't ask those questions of anybody that got reparations. That's why when that comes out of their mouth, we got to learn how to shut them down and ignore them and don't even answer that question, because if it's not required from anybody else that got reparations, we should not be required to answer that question either. Y'all, please tell me what you think about this crazy, crazy story. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.